Tell you, I do not regret a thing about this process. I do believe the way that I have responded to how I have lived this out and how I have responded through every single aspect of this should be a blueprint for a lot of people to look to in how to handle uncertainty in your life.
All right, so Michael Chandler is making a very interesting decision right now, ladies and gentlemen. There's been reports that Michael Chandler was offered the fight with Islam Makhachev, and he's refusing to take the fight because he thinks that he's still going to match up against Conor McGregor later this year. Now, the big question that we need to ask ourselves in this video is whether or not Michael Chandler is potentially missing out on the biggest opportunity of his career. I wonder how much money they have to be offering Michael Chandler in order for him to refuse the crazy opportunity to fight for the belt. I mean, it kind of makes you think about it a little bit, because what were Michael Chandler's intentions whenever he transitioned from Bellator to the UFC? Because whenever he made his transition, he wasn't really, you know, that young of a fighter, right? And I think that Michael Chandler probably came to the UFC to look to make some big money fights because he's transitioning to a bigger organization. And I think that the fight that he's probably gonna, you know, be rich forever with is obviously the Conor McGregor fight. I don't think he cares too much about his legacy, if I'm just being honest, because I've never heard not one top level fighter ever refuse the opportunity to become champion. And honestly, to me, that's kind of insane. So it's only fair to assume that right now Michael Chandler isn't really focused on his legacy to become champion or have the potential to become champion. You know, he's much more focused on getting this crazy freaking paycheck with Conor McGregor. And you know what? I don't blame him. He's 38 years old. He's at the tail end of his career. I don't even think that he believes that he could beat someone as dominant as Islam Makhachev. You know, so it makes no sense for him to come back to face such a crazy, you know, big fighter like Islam Makhachev after not fighting for like 2 years. You know, that ring rust is really gonna play a factor on his performance, you know. So it's better for him to just take the risk and fight Conor McGregor, get the big huge paycheck, you know what I'm saying? And if he loses to Conor McGregor, it's whatever, you know, because it's Conor McGregor, but at least he gets to walk away with a ton of freaking money. And as far as us, the fans, wanting to watch it, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but it's not a fight that really interests me anyways. You know, Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev isn't a fight that, you know, should catch anyone's eye, if I'm just being honest, because look at the only 2 wins that Michael Chandler has in the UFC. You know, he beat Dan Hooker, and his last win was against Tony Ferguson like 2 years ago, right? He lost to Oliveira, he lost to Justin Gaethje, he lost to Dustin Poirier, other fighters that have been in the top 5 for a while. So it's obvious, you know, to say that it's more than likely that he loses to Islam Makhachev anyways. And, you know, I think that right now Islam Makhachev, he's in his prime. He should be fighting the best of the best fighters. And let's just be honest, Michael Chandler just isn't one of them. I think that Michael Chandler is making the right decision right now. He's waiting for that Conor McGregor fight. And if it ever does happen, he's going to walk away with a lot of money in his pocket, win or lose. But that might come at the expense of his legacy, because what are people going to say? Like, he had the opportunity to, you know, potentially be a champion, right? Like, who's to say, you know, who's to say that he doesn't go in there and beat, you know, Islam Makhachev? Even though Islam probably wins, you know, he had the opportunity. It was right there in his face, you know, and he blew it. He blew that opportunity because, let's just remember, the fight with Conor McGregor isn't even a for sure thing. He canceled last minute at UFC 303. Who's to say he won't do it again? Hopefully this isn't a decision that Michael Chandler regrets one day. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. As always, it's a pleasure. Peace out and have a good one.